the greatest of all time. He was a man whose name became bigger than music itself. To some, he was the greatest entertainer ever to step onto a stage. To others, he remains a figure surrounded by questions that continue to spark debate decades later. His career changed the history of popular culture, but his private life became the subject of one of the most controversial public discussions of the modern era. This is the story of Michael Jackson, a story of fame, allegations, courtrooms, documentaries, and questions that continue to divide the world. To understand how it all happened, we have to go back to the beginning. Michael Jackson was born in 1958 in Gary, Indiana, as the seventh of 9 children in the Jackson family. From an early age, his extraordinary talent was impossible to ignore. As a member of the Jackson 5, he became a star while still a child. While other children spent their days playing and enjoying a normal childhood, Michael spent his on stage, in rehearsals, and traveling from city to city. Years later, he would often speak about feeling as though he never truly had a childhood. He claimed that fame gave him many things, but also took away experiences he could never get back. As his success grew, so did his sense of isolation. Throughout the 1980s, Michael Jackson became a global phenomenon. Albums like Thriller shattered records. Millions around the world viewed him as an artist unlike any other. Yet during this same period, he also began developing a public image as an eccentric and mysterious figure. He purchased Neverland Ranch, a place that resembled an amusement park more than a private home. Trains, carousel rides, exotic animals, movie theaters, attractions designed for children. Jackson said Neverland represented the childhood he never had. Friends and supporters claimed he was trying to recreate the joy he had missed as a young boy. But as the years passed, another aspect of his life began drawing attention: his close relationships with children. Michael Jackson frequently invited families and children to visit Neverland. He was often seen in public with young companions. He openly stated that he felt more comfortable around children because he found them honest and free of the judgment he often experienced from adults. To his fans, this reflected his gentle nature. To critics, it raised uncomfortable questions. The controversy reached a new level in 1993. That year, the family of 13-year-old Jordan Chandler accused Jackson of sexual abuse. The allegations immediately became global headlines. News outlets around the world followed every development. Jackson denied all allegations. His legal team argued that the accusations were part of an attempt to extort money from him. The case eventually ended in a multi-million-dollar civil settlement. It is important to note that the settlement wasn't an admission of guilt.
He's an animal. Should not say he's Jacko. I'm not a Jacko. I'm Jackson. I have a heart and I have feelings. I feel that.
Supporters argued that the settlement was simply an attempt to avoid years of legal battles and relentless media attention. Regardless of opinion, one thing was clear: the controversy was not going away. Over the following years, Jackson continued his career, but the allegations from 1993 remained part of the public conversation. Then, in 2003, British journalist Martin Bashir was granted extraordinary access to Jackson's personal life. The result was the documentary, Living with Michael Jackson. The film was intended to show audiences the man behind the fame. Instead, it ignited another firestorm. One moment in particular captured worldwide attention. Jackson discussed sharing his bed with children. He insisted there was nothing sexual or inappropriate about it. He described it as an act of trust, innocence, and friendship. Many viewers, however, found the statement shocking. Public reaction was immediate. Not long after the documentary aired, new allegations emerged. This time, the matter would end up in court. The 2005 trial became one of the most closely watched celebrity trials in modern history. Journalists from around the world gathered to cover every detail. Prosecutors alleged that Jackson had sexually abused a minor and attempted to influence the boy's family. The defense argued that the accusations were fabricated for financial gain. For months, witnesses took the stand. Jurors listened to dramatically different versions of the same events. Some testimony supported the allegations. Other testimony strongly supported Jackson. After months of proceedings, the jury reached its verdict. Michael Jackson was found not guilty on all counts. Legally, he was cleared of every charge. For his supporters, the case was over. For his critics, it was not. Although he left the courtroom a free man, the controversy never truly left him. In the years that followed, Jackson largely withdrew from public life. Then, on June 25, 2009, news broke that shocked the world. Michael Jackson had died. Millions watched memorial services and tributes. His music once again climbed the charts. Many believed the debate surrounding the allegations would finally fade away. But 10 years later, they returned with renewed intensity. In 2019, the documentary Leaving Neverland was released. The film focused on Wade Robson and James Safechuck, two men who, as children, had been very close to Michael Jackson. What made the documentary particularly controversial was the fact that both men had publicly defended Jackson in the past. Robson had even testified on Jackson's behalf. In the documentary, both men allege that Jackson had sexually abused them during their childhoods. According to their accounts, the relationships lasted for years. Both stated that, as children, they believed Jackson loved them and that their relationships with him were special. Only later in adulthood, they said, did they begin to view those experiences differently. The documentary explores their stories in great detail, their memories, their families, and the lasting emotional impact they say those experiences had on their lives. Rather than functioning as a legal argument, the film focused on personal testimony, and it was precisely this approach that generated such powerful reactions. Many viewers found the stories compelling and deeply emotional. Others pointed out that Jackson was no longer alive to respond to the allegations. The Jackson family strongly rejected the claims made in the documentary. They described them as false and misleading. Fans organized campaigns in his defense. Some media outlets and radio stations temporarily removed his music from their programming. Others refused to do so. Once again, the world was divided. On one side were those who believed the allegations presented in the documentary deserved serious consideration. On the other were those who believed that Jackson's acquittal and the absence of new criminal findings spoke for themselves. Today, more than 3 decades after the first allegations surfaced, the Michael Jackson case remains the subject of intense debate. There are court documents. There is testimony. There are documentaries. There are people who believe justice was served. And there are people who believe the full truth has never been uncovered. Perhaps that is why this story continues to endure. Because it is not simply the story of one man. It is a story about fame, about power, about media, about memory, and about how difficult it can be to find definitive answers when different versions of the past collide. And somewhere in the middle of it, all stands a name that still provokes strong reactions around the world. Michael Jackson, a man whose music changed the world, and whose controversial legacy will likely remain the subject of debate for many years to come. Either way, the fact remains that Michael Jackson was the greatest of all time. And that is how we will remember him. Thank you for watching Diabolical Files. Don't forget to subscribe to support the growth of the channel. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and leave a comment. See you in the next one. Bye.